Is your head about to explode with all the different brokerage options out there? Between the caps, fees, splits, just everything. There's revenue share, profit share. Oh my! In this video, we're going to take it step by step on what things you need to look for when choosing your next brokerage. Now, of course, there's so many different things to look at and evaluate a brokerage. Now, what I did, and what makes it a lot more simple to do, is see if there's a cap. You don't have to look at anything else, just if there's a cap. Because I don't know about you, I didn't get into real estate to just be moderate or mediocre. I got into real estate because I wanted to make a very successful career out of it. As my success grows, I don't want to have to keep on giving more and more money back to the brokerage when I'm bringing in, potentially millions of dollars of business in for them, and they're continually taking a cut. So I wanted to make sure that there was a cap. So look to see if they have a cap, even if you're maybe a new agent and you're like, well, what does it matter if a cap? Like, I'm not gonna hit a cap my first year. Maybe, maybe not. Now, in some markets, like for my brokerage, it's only about like 6 houses really have to sell to hit a cap in my market. Of course, it varies from market to market. Even if you're not gonna hit a cap right away, think about it in the future. You're probably gonna hit a cap if you're gonna keep dedicated to your craft and to your career. So look for a cap, because the last thing you wanna do is like, okay, well, now I've hit it big and now I have to find a new brokerage and I have to switch now. So just avoid that whole process, just find one with a cap. So it's kind of amazing to me how many real estate agents out there that actually don't even really know what a cap is. It's kind of a foreign concept to them. Well, I'll just give a quick overview of a cap. A cap is you only pay in so much of your commission and then you'll go 100%. So let's say if you're at an 80-20 split, you'll do that until you pay in $16,000 or whatever your company cap is. And then after that, you go to 100% commission. So that's what a cap is. Now, before I go into all my other points, I need to talk about transparency. Now, there's a lot of brokerages out there that are not transparent with their numbers and all the fees and stuff they'll pay. I have heard so many horror stories of new agents going to a brokerage, not really knowing all the different fees and stuff that can be at a brokerage, and not fully understanding that, not really thinking to ask. And then they just get a bill at the end of the month. They have no way of really paying, and you just have to put it on a credit card because there was a bunch of hidden fees. Look for a brokerage that is transparent with all their splits, caps, fees, desk fees, technology fees, review fees, E&O fees, all of those things. Make sure that they're readily available, that they're not trying to hide anything, that you can just really just Google it and just find it, because it's really frustrating once you get all into a brokerage and then find out there's all these other fees. And it sounded really great because it sounded like they had like great split or great training, and then you get there and there was just a ton of fees to get that. So definitely look for transparency. If they're not transparent out in the public, how do you think they'll be when you're at the brokerage? So now let's narrow it down further. You've already checked, you can be capped. You've already checked they're transparent with all the fees. They're very upfront about it. And now, everyone's favorite topic, what is the commission split? Now, a commission split is essentially, let's say you close a deal on a house and then you get $10,000. Well, you don't necessarily always get $10,000 in full, rarely that's ever the case. Then you'll be at a split. Let's say you're at like a 70-30 split. So you'll get $3,000 goes back to the brokerage, and then $7,000 goes to you. And this is before any other fees that are involved with the brokerage you chose. So you can kind of see, let's say you bring in $100,000 in commissions. Let's say you went to a place and they have a 50-50 split. Does that sound steep? I think it does too. 50-50, that's you're paying in half $50,000 into the brokerage. Now, I don't know how anyone can really justify a 50% split, and I will refrain from going off too much on that. There's 50, 60, 70% even. So it's still paying back $30,000. So with your paying taxes to the government on that 100 grand, or after your split, so after taxes, and then you got your splits, then you got your fees, Now, that's going to whittle your $100,000 that you thought you were making very down very quickly. So definitely splits are very important. And now every brokerage has to make a certain amount to stay in business. And so, depending on what value they provide and everything else, can all be dependent on that. Well, how do I say this? You just think about how much you're paying in, and if it's really worth $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 that you're paying into them, if you're really getting that amount of money back. So definitely check that out before. And now it's time for everyone's least favorite topic. Fees. There can be a ton of fees, and especially if you're new, trying to grasp all the different fees and when they would hit and kind of trying to figure out actually how much money you'll make, it can be pretty daunting with all the different fees. There can be desk fees, there can be transactional fees, there can be royalty fees. For sometimes this is kind of more for like a franchise that you have to pay a royalty on you selling a house. It's crazy, but they're out there. So not only looking at the different fees, but also what do you get with that fee? So let's say they have a technology fee. Okay, well that can be a phone line at your desk, or it can be a very powerful CRM, it can be a website, it can be an entire metaverse that you can go into. And it can vary just so widely on what each fee is. So, definitely check out the fees, and in some places fees are even capped. So like errors and emissions insurance is sometimes capped at $500 no matter how much you sell. They only cap it at a certain amount. So and also if you are looking at joining a team, typically there's team fees associated with it, and these can also vary within the same brokerage, even like the very large ones. If you're joining a team, because a lot of times the team leader can kind of set additional fees to have you pay. So definitely if you're meeting with a team and you kind of met with another franchise broker and then now you're meeting with a team leader, well definitely ask them what additional fees on top of everything else there can be. And then also more importantly, what do you get with that additional fees? I probably should tell you this, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. So I started my own business and I had my own office and employees, and I had to be very aware of my overhead numbers. So everyone has to, account for their overhead. So there's no free lunch. So there's a lot of brokers out there that will tell you why their splits are, 60-40, 70-30, 50-50, is because they're helping you and you're providing all this training and, you have direct access to them and, all this stuff. Well, here's the truth, that they need to pay for that building. That building costs money, and it's not probably bringing them in as much money as it used to be. So they need to pass on that cost to their agents. So they need to pay for all of the overhead with a building expense, because it's a lot more expensive than what you might think to have an office building. There's a lot that goes into it, and if you join one with an office, then you're most likely going to be paying for it. Now let's get to the good stuff. Now here's the mistake that I made. I did not think about additional income opportunities. I didn't even know it was a thing. Now look at the brokerage for additional income opportunities, because not only is it, how much of your commission you're giving back to the brokerage, but how can you make additional income with doing the exact same thing that you would anywhere else? Now this can be in several different forms. Some companies will give out, stock awards. And so you can be like an actual owner in that brokerage with the stocks. Some, like you close your first house, you get a stock award. You hit a certain level, you hit the cap, you get a stock award. So there's all different things that different brokerages have that you can get stock awards. I would definitely consider looking at what else you can do, because sometimes it will offset, the different fees. Rather than just that top line commission split, you have a lot more to look at on what you can actually bring in on top of all that. And there's some places that you would be at 100% plus commission with these additional income opportunities. Now also different brokerages will provide you another revenue stream, whether it's profit sharing or they might share just straight off the top line called revenue sharing. And this is typically when you help build a business. You might be thinking like, yeah, I don't really care about like helping build a business. I just want to sell real estate. Well, that's fine. What if your friend gives you a call and says, hey, I am looking at getting into real estate. I just passed my test. I'm looking at brokerages. Which one should I join? Well, I guarantee you're probably going to tell them, hey, if you're at Remax, you're going to tell them Remax. If you're Coldwell Banker, you're going to tell them Coldwell Banker. So, and then they can join, and a lot of places, you're not going to get anything for that. So if you're doing the exact same thing, look for those additional income opportunities that you can help bring more income in. Now look at what kind of support you're going to receive. Who can you call for help if you need it? Whether it's a transactional support and you're doing a deal, it's Sunday night, 9 p.m. Is there somewhere you can go to or someone you can talk to? What if the broker is out of town or he's asleep? Well, who can you call in? Do they have a mentorship program if you're a new agent that can help you through all this? Now, when they're like designing airplanes, that they do like 2 points of failure. So like 2 things have to fail for that whole entire unit to fail. So pretty much everything has a backup. Now, so if you are looking at a independent brokerage, a small brokerage, and there's only one owner and he's the one who's providing all the support, wearing all the hats. If you have problems with technology problems, that's who you go to. And they also do trading. What happens if you can't get a hold of them? I've heard many horror stories of people not being able to get to their broker for sometimes a week, and they have a very important question to ask them about a transaction because not every single real estate deal is exactly the same. So there's questions that do come up. Make sure you look for a brokerage that has a lot of different people to go to for that support, and you're just not singly relying on one single person. And the next thing, look for what kind of training they provide. Now, if you're an experienced agent, you might not think this is as big of a deal, but I've always been at my career that I'm always constantly learning, because if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. So make sure there's levels of training for all the different levels, no matter which one you're at. And for a new agent, this is very important to make sure you get the right training. Every brokerage will say that they have training. Well, you get there and then you find out that the training might be once a week, might be once a month, and it's more kind of a contracts training. Well, contracts don't really matter if you got no clients. And so you need some real modern training to how you can get clients and then get to the contracts. So especially when you're new, you're gonna have a lot more available time for training, and that's what you should be focused on a lot, is training up so you can get those clients, so you can close those houses, so you can make that money. So make sure they have more than just like once a week training. They should have multiple trainings, not only just training, just like the traditional means, because a lot of brokerages have traditional training. So a lot of them are like, okay, well, how do I get leads? Well, they'll tell you, call your sphere. But me, along with a lot of us, we just moved to a new city and we're starting in real estate. We don't have a sphere. We don't have people to call. We need modern training. So we are a lot more mobile than what we were 50 years ago. And the training should also be revolutionized for modern strategies. So, how to get Instagram leads, YouTube leads, what you can do that way to generate leads, especially if you don't know anyone in your market that you're in. The other thing is make sure that training is provided by active agents who are doing it like now, not someone who sold a bunch back in 1997 and now they're a trainer. People who are actively selling homes and they're some of the top agents. That's who you want your training by, because things do change. So you want to make sure you're trained by people who know what works in the modern environment. Think of it this way. Some of these trainers, when they were out selling, they were reading maps to find the listing. And that was only about 15 years ago that we were using maps. So think about how much you use your phone and technology. And think about if you want to be trained by someone who has not experienced the last 15 years in business evolution. The next thing you want to look at is, what's the culture? Of course, we've all heard the saying, you are who you surround yourself with. Well, that's extremely true, and it's something that I have believed firmly my entire career. Now, what I was looking for, and actually I could put this way higher up on the list, because before I joined my current brokerage, I wanted to meet the people. I wanted to know, like, do they collaborate? Do they get along? Do they hang out with each other outside of work? Well, when I was looking, they all had a happy hour and got to meet them, and they were a lot of fun, and there were also a lot of top producers in there. So I was like, heck yeah. So that kind of did it for me, was the culture. So don't overlook the culture, because a lot of times you can have like an office where you'll have like a lot of top producers, but especially if they're just like very hyper local office and they see someone coming in there who's very motivated and really good at what they do, well, might not get a lot of help because they just view you as competition. So really look for that collaboration, because that can save you a lot of stress, because you don't want to join a bunch of llamas who are just causing a bunch of drama. We all know, us realtors, we work a lot. So if you're not having fun at work and your only fun is outside of work, well, you're not gonna have a lot of fun in life. So check that culture, meet the people in the office, and really get a vibe for what it's like. Now, where I'm at right now, if I have a question, there is 6-7 people I can call on a weekend just to talk about something, a personal thing. Maybe I'm working on a personal deal and this person is good with selling a ton of houses in a year. Well, this person's really good with numbers, this or that. So there's a lot of different people that I can call to ask questions because of the culture that we have. So it's huge to me, and it's probably, I could really put this way higher up, because once you have a good culture and you're around people that run hard, play hard, have fun while they're doing it, that is very important to me. So have fun with work, be around people who will take you to the next level, and that's definitely the biggest thing I'd really recommend. Now for this next point, there's just no one talking about this on YouTube. Everyone's talking about how to find the right brokerage, and they just go into like the very, numbers and this or that. But no one's talking about what is your exit plan and how will your broker or brokerage help you achieve your exit plan. You're probably thinking, well, exit plan, that's so far off. Whenever I go on a new business venture, I always consider what's my exit plan. When am I gonna get out? How am I gonna get out? And is there something here that will help me exit the industry? Because raise your hand. Who here, anyone here wants to be selling houses when they're 75, 80? Not me. I don't want to do it when I'm 60. So you want to make sure that you are joining a brokerage that will help you achieve, whether it's retirement or those additional streams of income that will help you exit the industry. You see people out there who are 75 years old and they're still selling houses, and they say they do it because they love it. Well, here's the truth. No one will keep on selling houses when they're 75 years old if they could rather just sit on that beach or do something else, do one of their hobbies. So make sure you think about that early, about your retirement, about your exit plan, and if your brokerage can help you achieve that exit plan. Well, that's all for me today. I hope that those tips and tricks helped you out. They are a lot that I look for and what I wish I knew when I was looking at brokerages. If you have any questions and you're looking at a brokerage and you're looking at different things that just don't make sense to you, I get it. I was there. They don't teach you all this in real estate school. Feel free, reach out. My contact information is below. If you want to know more about my group, my brokerage, and what we're doing here, and the culture that we have, and all of our different splits, caps, fees, all that stuff, please reach out to me. Be more than happy to talk with you about that too, and help you down your path to success. Go forth, find yourself a good brokerage that fits you, that allows you to make additional streams of income, and that you can really succeed at. Avoid those drama llamas. Until next time, and if you're still here, please do me a huge favor. Will you please show a little bit of love to that subscribe button, and then hit that notification bell so you can stay all up to date on different tips, tricks for realtors. Now, bye.